Hey guys, this is Kenny over at learnhowtoprosper.com. And I just want to share with you chapter 10 here. If you come out to jobs.learnhowtoprosper.com, I've got this learning guide. You come out, click under learn. That's this career guide. And I've been just walking through each one of these different chapters because I think each one has some valuable things. And just in case I want to share this before I forget. I am preparing a course I think you'll really enjoy. It's the Entrepreneur Playbook. If you really want to see how to accelerate your career and really put yourself in a solid position, I share 30 years of experience and several tools. I started out my career as a career counselor, as a mental health counselor, and I spent almost 30 years in the high tech sector, worked for several well-known brands in the high tech arena. And it's really it's I've had a lot of people ask me over the years how they can really accelerate their career and things they can do to advance their career in very crazy times with AI and all that's coming. And so that's really something I talk about here. If you want to learn more, you can go over to learnhowtoprosper.com and you'll learn more there. Also look for links in the description box of this video. So let me just walk through this. These sections really quickly. You come here, you can listen to this if you want to click the play button here. You can listen to it, get through it kind of quickly if you want to. On learning and growth, nobody knows everything. The most dangerous person in any technical meeting is the one who pretends they do. I think that humility is just kind of rare, no matter how you want to look at it. And so if you're humble and you're willing to continue learning, you're going to put yourself in a really good position. And I think this is really essential. Read constantly, not just technical documentation. Read business books, biographies of leaders you admire, books about how organizations work. I think this has really helped set me apart over time, from good to great, how to win friends and influence people, the Innovator's Dilemma. There's just so many great books. And there's many that are available today that you can look into. I think you can take something from almost any one of these that's super valuable. A lot of people really don't make learning a lifelong endeavor. And so you can really set yourself apart by doing that. And these days, if you don't, I mean, you can get a library card and on Libby, you could go and get pretty much any business book and listen to it and call that your your commuter university, listening to books and different things. And in fact, if you want to join my email list over at learnhowtoprosper.com, I share often books that I release into my own university, commuter university. All right. Number 3, take jobs that teach. Early in your career, the most valuable, important variable is not salary, it's learning velocity. A job that pays $10,000 less, but exposes you to 10 different technologies and 5 different business problems is worth more than a comfortable job. So true. And this is really going to compound over time. It's just like putting money in the bank and letting it compound. Your knowledge will do that. Build in public. Document what you're learning on LinkedIn. Share your home lab projects. Write about problems you solved. People who share their learning attract opportunities they never could have found by applying to job postings. I think I've shared this before. I got my first computer back when there was not even the internet per se. I mean, well, let me back up. There was dial-up on Prodigy, and America Online came later, and that was my first learning. And I built my first website just using a simple notepad editor. And it was just a blast. I learned a ton, and I was able to fold that into many other opportunities as life went on. On work and reliability, be the person who does what they say they will do. This sounds obvious, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty darn rare. If you actually just meet the commitments that you make, and like they always say, it's good to under-commit and over-deliver. That's for sure. Show up consistently. Talent's common. Reliability is rare. It's so true. There'll be people who'll be a flash in the pan. But if you come here and show up consistently, you're going to set yourself apart. Treat every role as a chance to learn. No job's too small to learn something from. That's so true. Just take on things as they come along and volunteer. Raise your hand. Document everything, write things down, create run books, update the wiki. I think this is powerful. I've seen over my career, it's been helpful for me to document. I like SOPs. I like standard operating procedures, and I create them for myself. And then over time, that consistency bought me more time. And then I can't tell you how many times I shared those with people. It became very valuable. And so look at that. On communications and relationships, develop your communication skills as deliberately as your technical skills. The ability to write clearly, speak confidently, and explain complex ideas simply is worth more than any certification. I really couldn't overemphasize this enough. And if you sit in a role, whether you're on the business and you learn on the business side and can learn to clearly teach and communicate technical issues to business people and or business problems to technical people, you're going to set yourself apart in a massive way. I highly recommend it. Learn to communicate with executives. Wow, this is a rarity. And listen, executives are very busy. They don't have time to get the full War and Peace. And the better you can get at being articulate, being brief, and being able to condense things is going to also put you in a great position, because it's just rare. Wasn't it Mark Twain that said, I would have written a smaller letter, but I didn't have enough time? It takes a lot more effort and skill to write a succinct communication than it does to just vomit up 50 pages or 10 pages. And I know my boss, for example, he's actually moved people to me because he couldn't stand reading their emails. He just said, I can't do it. I'll just, you take that, you figure it out. And then I work with them and mentor them and help them to get better at their communications. I think this is fantastic. Build relationships before you need them. The best career opportunities come through people who already trust you. And this is, and pretty easy to do, because a lot of times you can reach out and if you're trying to solve problems, especially problems that span multiple groups, and you take the lead and just make friendships and make other people look good in other groups, they're always going to think of you. Because people like that are rare. Be generous with your knowledge. Teach what you know. Mentor people who are earlier in their careers. I've always sought to do this, and it's just really rewarding. And it's a rarity, and it sets you apart. It makes you a leader. Let's face it. Leaders look at ways of improving the big picture, and as a tide, it raises all boats. You get to play that role when you are being a leader. Money follows value. This is what I say all the time, and I say this, and if you want to learn more about my trading course, I do a lot, not day trading, because only idiots day trade, in my opinion. But I trade something called options, or I sell options, which are really insurance contracts on large portfolios. It's what hedge funds do, only you can do it at your level. But I always tell people that people get funny about money, for example, and all money is just receipts for value that you create. So as you learn to create more and more value, more and more receipts are going to come back to you. And so people who want a $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year raise or more, that happens by creating more and more value. You have to think of value as a tangible commodity that you're providing, something that people are willing to pay handsomely for. And I think too often people think, instead of tasks that they have to get done, or jobs they have to do, or projects that they have to finish. I promise you, if you think more in terms of the value that you create, money follows that value. I agree with this. Develop a specialty. Generalists are useful, but you become very specialized in a complex area. And I think one area that is fantastic is become very good at managing projects with low overhead. If you can manage a complex project with a simple spreadsheet and email, you're going to be exceedingly valuable. Now, because again, just like everything else, it's easy to be complex. It's difficult to be simple. 15, leadership starts long before you have a management title. Yeah, people always say, I want to be a manager. Listen, and there's a difference between managing people and leading people. Managing is like, how well do you count beans, or can you manage things that are in front of you? Leadership, I often see management is kind of pushing things along, and leadership is drawing things along. People are drawn to leaders. And you know a leader when you see one. I think if you look at all of the items that lead up to number 15 here, if you're learning those things, you're becoming a leader. I think leadership requires courage in that you're going to be in the crosshairs. Most people, they don't want to step out. They don't want to put themselves in the line of fire. And if you're willing to do that, then you're a leader. And, a lot of people think that a person who just speaks their mind indiscriminately or is, bold and outspoken is a leader. Not always. Those are some of the things that can help someone who's a leader as just a tool, an adjacent tool. But I would say that leadership is more about having the courage to trod the path that most people aren't willing to do. And I'll just read this. Leadership is influence, not authority. You can lead from any position by taking initiative, solving problems nobody asked you to solve, and helping your team succeed. The people who get promoted to management are the ones who were already leading. Can't emphasize that enough. It's so true. You don't become a leader after you are a leader well before that ever comes into play. Negotiate every offer, not aggressively, professionally. Research the market rate before every conversation. Know your number. Ask for it clearly. The worst they can do is say no. I think you have to be careful here. This is more of an art than a science. I think that if you're delivering an enormous amount of value, that at least in my life, I've never asked for a raise in my whole life, and I've always gotten raises. And I found that the most powerful way to do that is to create so much value and become indispensable, and that when you move to a new position, they can see that you're bringing enormous value and they're willing to pay for it. And or your current manager can sense that you're going to move in that direction, and they'll offer you money to keep you because they don't want to lose you. That's where you really want to work from. On perspective and balance, patience is a competitive advantage. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they can accomplish in 10. Yeah, I think patience, that is a true statement. Time goes by fast. Be patient. Focus more on the process than the outcome, and the outcome will take care of itself. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. It's true. It's fascinating because it's true what it says here. It takes years to build and minutes to damage. You know that. I remember I went to this conference with the Board of Education in Idaho, and I was a recruiter for a university, and I went out and did mostly academic recruiting. It was part of my graduate program, and then I went on to do counseling and different things after that. But I'll never forget this guy. He was the chair of the State Board of Education. He came to give a talk, and the night before they had a little reception. And somewhere along the way, he got drunk. He stole a woman's purse. He put lipstick on with like a crazy clown lips. And then when I walked out that night, he was passed out in the corner and had wet himself. And it was crazy because he was otherwise pretty well known, but he went too far, got drunk. The next morning, you could still see the lipstick line around his lip. He had to give a keynote address. And I'm sorry, but you looked around and everyone that was at that party said, no. To say nothing of people, for example, who in a weak moment decide to have an affair or something and lose their wife and lose their family. Not smart, just idiotic. And then you could do dumb things at work. Like I'll never forget when they first started getting, the internet came into offices, and I remember like 5 people being busted for looking at porn and then getting just laid off, fired. And it's just dumb. Just don't do stuff like that. It's not worth it. Just be professional. Be a consummate professional. Balance ambition with patience. Ambition without patience leads to poor decisions. taking the wrong job for a title, burning bridges for a short-term gain. Patience without ambition leads to stagnation. The combination of the two, clear goals pursued with consistent effort over time, is the formula for an exceptional career. And finally, the best investment you can make is in yourself. So true. Every certification, every book, every course, every home lab project is an investment that compounds. The people who invest consistently in their own skills and knowledge for 10 years become the people that organizations compete to hire. This is a true story. I've hired many, fired many, and well, mostly I had to let people go, because, whenever you're in operations, at least that's been the course of my career, it's just a place where it's where it's expected that you're going to streamline and operationalize things. And as a result, as you get better and better automating things and streamlining, then you replace those roles and or people are removed from the equation. So that's just been a part of my story. But I will say this, go and read through this. And if you'd like to learn more, then by all means, go over to learnhowtoprosper.com. You're going to see more. You can sign up for my email list. I'll give you a lot more information. And if you'd like, then you can subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. And that way you can stay in tune with all the things. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I hope you have a fantastic day, and watch for another installment of jobs at learnhowtoprosper.com tomorrow. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks, guys.